Hi, I'm Elise Chaffins, and I'm here today with Michelle Steffes, the director for the new film For When You Get Lost, coming to video on demand on November 15th. Thank you so much for being here, Michelle. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be talking about this and meeting with you today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that this film had a small budget and a small crew, but the look of it really is pretty fantastic. It looks like, yeah, like I would say a nice mid-budget film. Can you talk some about just how you achieved the look that you did for that?
Yeah, a lot of that I have to talk up to our director of photography, April Frame. She did not have a big crew. We had her, we had our gaffer, we had an AC, and we had a PA that was acting as a grip. We had a little bit more on the we shot in two phases. We shot a road trip as one phase, and then we shot in California and Washington as the second phase. And so we had a little bit more on the second phase, but it was very lean, and she had like, her camera truck that was her own truck, that had sort of limited lighting. And even if we had more lighting, we didn't have the crew to do a lot of lighting. So I really was like, not that it was 100% natural light, but it was really focused on natural light, being at the right places at the right time, which was a big challenge with scheduling, because wanting to be at places not only when the light would look nice, but when it made sense for the characters to be there on their journey. Like if they were doing something at sunset, it needed to look sunsetty. Um, and uh, and having her, she's a drone operator, so we took a separate on our like phase one road trip. Everyone went up, and then we sent people home via plane. We sent the camera truck back to Idaho, and then the actor, producer, writer Jennifer Sorenson and April and I went on just a drone trip back down the coast to capture all the beautiful overhead shots that we hadn't had a chance to get. We just didn't fit into our shooting schedule on the way up. So I think getting the scope of those shots was really helpful. And I think just kind of committing to a realistic look, like in the vein of Sideways. Like if you watch
Mhm.
Sideways, when they go to the wineries, it's clearly the real wineries. It's really the way the wineries really look, and kind of committing to that aesthetic of like it's going to look realistic, but we're also going to capture the beauty, because part of the journey that our hero is on is sort of stopping to appreciate the beauty of this world around her and it pulling her out of her grief and anxiety. So we did want to really capture the beauty and the fun of a road trip like this up the West Coast.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, speaking of the scope, that kind of goes into another question I had because this film has these really broad, sweeping kind of shots, but then it also has a lot of really intimate kind of moments. Can you
Mm-hmm.
just talk about how you work to kind of create those different moods? Because I really think that comes through.
Yeah, I think that that was definitely something that in one way was a challenge, because it's dark and it's funny and it's sad and it's uplifting. So it just had a
Mhm.
lot of things that we wanted to hit. And sometimes it's dark and uplifting in the same moment, or funny and sad in the same moment. And I think that I feel like I have to give credit to that to Jennifer's script. I think that she and I definitely worked on the development of the script and worked on heightening some of those pieces and making sure that they really flowed and then made sense with the character arcs, and making sure each character had sort of a satisfying journey that was internal as well as this external journey that they were all on. But I think that something that she brought to the script from the beginning was the sense of authenticity. And I think that the voice, that sort of like that funny, dark, uplifting voice, that's her voice. And so I think that, many of the people that were involved with the film were brought on because they knew her, or, had some sort of life experience with her and believed in her. And I think that we put a lot of effort into making sure that everyone was on the same page. I think we were all making the same movie. And so that really helped we took a lot of time with post and the edit and making sure that it was right and was getting across what we wanted to get across. And I think it really helped that there were very few, I guess, disagreements among the creative team about what we were trying to say and what we were trying to get across. And so the actors were all on board with that as well. And I think the actors really got their roles and really understood what characters they were playing and how they fit in with the overall story. And so I think we ended up with this sort of beautiful tapestry of characters who each had dealt with some sort of trauma and had come up with their own coping mechanisms for those trauma. Like every character has a different method of dealing with their own pain or their own past and has come up with a different way of dealing with it. And I think that, talking through that with people and how how that could come across on screen was really important.
Hmm. Yeah. So, the film definitely, you mentioned, yeah, that it has that kind of sideways kind of thing. Can you talk some about like how you worked with the various breweries that you all like shot in and yeah, how
Yeah.
that kind of worked together? Because it really does lend a certain, yeah, sense of authenticity
Yeah.
to the film itself.
Yeah, Jennifer, when she wrote the film that has elements of autobiography in it, she had one of the things that is true about the film, true about the character to Jennifer's life, is that she had really worked with at breweries in the Pacific Northwest. And so when I first got the film or got the script, I was like, I loved it. I loved it right away, and I wanted to do it right away. But I was like, I don't understand really how we're going to do. This script on the budget that we have multiple breweries, we have an airport, we have two boat scenes. Like this just feels we have three states, like dozens of locations. I don't understand how this is going to be feasible on our budget. And Jennifer said these breweries are gonna donate they're gonna be part of this. They're gonna be such supporters you won't believe it. And which is a point that June Stevenson makes in the movie is that brewery scene is like a family. And I was like, okay, well, I'm the director and not the producer, so it's not my job to make this happen. So let's do it. And then we were astounded by the support. The first brewery that we asked to join was Moylan's in Novato, and Jennifer had really worked there at that brewery, so she knew them. And then I think because that's a really well respected, established brewery, being able to say Moylan's is doing it, do you want to do it? It's like it feels like, oh, well, someone else they're doing it too. And then not only did they let us shoot there, without paying location fees, but in many times they fed us, they they gave us beer, they asked their friends to come be background in the scene so that it would look full.
Mhm.
One time even like till 4 o'clock in the morning. And I think that was there's no way this film could be what it is without the support of the brewery scene in the Pacific Northwest. It was incredible.
Yeah, for sure. Can you talk just some about how you connected with Jennifer and how the two of you were able to kind of take her script and um yeah, just kind of weave it into something that's a little bit different from where it might have started and
Yeah.
what kind of adjustments you all made along the way together through that.
Yeah. So Jennifer and my husband Joey Coyne went to Loyola Marymount together. They were in in college together. So I've known her because of kind of alumni events, and she's always been very passionate about getting people together just to make things. And so they had made a short together a few years ago that I had like helped out with a little bit. And so she was aware of me as a director, and I was aware of her really as an actor and not as a writer. And so when she called and asked if I wanted to read her script, I was like, sure, absolutely. And then I was kind of blown away. By how strong it was and how clear the voice was. That dark, funny voice was clear from the end of the first scene. And I kind of was like, I'm gonna want to do this, like at the beginning, at the right, like 5 pages in. And then just to see how it unfolded with these sort of like beautiful locations, and it felt very like it came alive in my brain reading it. And then how there would be these emotional moments that kind of would take you by surprise and like that felt very sort of authentic and vulnerable, especially for someone who was writing a script that has elements that are based in her life. I thought it was very brave. So something that we did to develop it, she was great. It's the best experience that I've had working with a writer who was writing something for me because of how well she took the notes and how much she wanted to take. Like she wanted, like, what is the note? I want to do it. And so we talked about emotional structure and like thematic stakes a lot. And so we kind of some of the things that changed were um, where things happened in the script, just kind of pulling some of the moments closer together. So it'd be a little bit more of a kind of a classic all is lost as sort of end of act two thing.
Mhm.
That she can then climb out of, and then making sure that elements of the character arcs that were there in her script, like the idea that June needs to ultimately stop distracting herself and thinking that something on the outside is going to heal her and make her better. The Sheen has to come to that, to a sort of like a responsibility, like a personal responsibility for her own life. Making sure that was clear and just giving it some moments that have always been there, but just pulling them up a little bit and like just sharpening them so that you really feel that journey. And then Cammie's journey of building walls around herself and deciding to like sort of like open a gate in the wall. And then, clarifying like Joanne as a mentor, or Mikey as someone who gets in turn mentored by June herself. Like those elements were in there. I think it was just a matter of pulling them up, adding, like we added the idea that for example, that June thinks that her father is going to apologize. It's something that she gets into her head at the beginning. And she really feels like she has this like token, that she's like this trophy that she's going to get and it's going to fix everything. It's like the gem at the end of her quest. If she can just get that gem, like it's going to be, she's going to win the game. And giving her this sort of false gem that even if she got it, it's not going to fix everything, and having to have her like realize that it wasn't that it was an apology, but that element of that she had expectations that were going to be unmet was there. And so it was just like kind of giving more color and shading to those sorts of expectations.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so the film has been playing kind of the film festival circuit
Hmm.
for a while. And it's coming now to video on demand, correct? Where would
Yes.
people be able to find that if they're wanting to follow along, that kind of thing?
Yes, we will be available for pre-sale on Apple. So if you buy things on Apple on November 8th, and so that's helpful if you would like to support this movie. It's just helpful with our algorithms to buy things
Mhm.
in pre-sale so that when it goes on sale, it already has like it gets purchases that very first day. But we should be available on Apple and Vudu on November 15th, and hopefully Amazon. Amazon will be eventually. Amazon is just it's harder to nail down a specific date, but November 15th is the date for rental
Fantastic.
purpose.
Right, right. Is there a website people can head to find the information about it?
Yes, so we're on forwhenyougetlost.com. And then if you are on social media, we're on For When You Get Lost Instagram, For When You Get Lost Facebook, and For When You Get Lost Film on TikTok.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank
And
you so
yeah,
much. I
best
really
of luck.
appreciate that. Thank you so much.